I've made $70,000 on Amazon selling this product.
But that number is revenue and not profit. And in this video, we're going to share all the numbers, including how much it cost her to create her product, how much the different Amazon FBA fees were, and a bunch of other expenses that most people don't talk about.
I will also share step-by-step everything from creating the product to launching it on Amazon, including how much it cost me to start it.
And at the end of the video, Ariana will share the 3 biggest mistakes that she made with this business, including one mistake that cost her over $50,000.
But despite all of the mistakes, I still made $20,000 in profit.
She also started this business while she was working a full-time job. And because of her Amazon FBA business, she was able to quit her job and spend the last few years traveling the world and just loving life.
So smash that like button because Travis and I are going to share all the details, including the truth about Amazon FBA that not a lot of people talk about.
Let's start with the numbers and break down all your different expenses. And most gurus on YouTube and most people talking about how much money their business made, they don't actually share all these individual costs. So let's talk about, first off, how much revenue have you done with this product?
With this product, about $78,000.
And that's amazing, but there's a lot of costs associated with selling this kind of a product on Amazon. The first cost you had was the cost to manufacture the actual products that you were selling on Amazon. How much did you spend in manufacturing the products you sold on Amazon?
That cost was about $17,000.
On top of that, there's a flat 15% fee just to sell any kind of product on the Amazon platform. How much did you spend on that Amazon selling fee?
That was about $12,000.
There's also another fee if you want to be part of the Amazon FBA program. And FBA stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. This is basically where you send your products into Amazon's warehouse, and when you get an order on their giant website, they pick, pack, and ship it out for you. But they do charge a fee for that. How much did you spend on that fee?
They do. It's about $14,000.
It's a decent amount of money, but keep in mind that fee covers the postage and all the handling of your products. And it also makes it so that you can travel and live wherever you want to live, and Amazon's handling a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, that really adds to that passive type of lifestyle to have with it.
But there's also just other random Amazon fees. How much did you spend in those other random Amazon FBA fees?
Random Amazon fees were about $4,000.
Another thing that a lot of people don't talk about is advertising costs. And one of the best ways that you can advertise your product if you're selling a product on Amazon is using Amazon's PPC. And it's important to remember that Amazon is a search engine. People go to Amazon to search for products that they want to buy. And your goal is to come up as high up in the search results as you possibly can when someone searches for the kind of product that you're selling. And one trick that you can use to get to the top of the search results is to pay Amazon a little bit of money. And this is called Amazon PPC. How much did you spend on Amazon PPC?
That was almost $7,000.
Which is a lot of money, but it automatically gets you to the top of the search rankings.
One thing to note about PPC is that it stands for pay per click, so you're only paying when a customer clicks on your ad.
And on top of all these other fees that we've already talked about, there is just other business-related expenses, things that no one talks about, things like having to pay for a DBA or just random things. How much did you spend on just random other business expenses?
Yeah, miscellaneous can be around $2,000. That's how much I spent.
So in total, when you subtract all the different expenses for your business, how much money did you make in profit?
In profit, it was about $22,000.
Which is really amazing considering that she did that these last few years while traveling and only really working on her business a couple hours a week.
And I could have made even more if it wasn't for 3 mistakes that happened. The first being that it cost way more to start than I was anticipating.
And there's a lot of random expenses to start an Amazon business that most people don't think about. There's the cost of the samples of your product, the cost to hire a designer to actually design the logo and the box of your product. There's the cost of production, the cost of actually getting the production from your manufacturer over into the Amazon warehouse, the shipping of it, and a bunch of other costs that people don't really talk about. And we're going to share step by step how Ariana actually created her product and how much it cost her to create it. So let's get into that.
So I was working a regular job, working for someone else, and I wasn't fully fulfilled. But in that time frame, I was watching Travis grow his business, Performance Nut Butter, and I was like, oh, you're at home, you're working for yourself, you're creating your own hours, and you're able to travel when you want. So I wanted to explore that idea as well. I didn't really feel ready to leave my job, but I did want to have like a side hustle. And so I came to Travis with that thought and was looking to see how I could do that.
And for people that don't know me, my name is Travis Marziani, and a little over 8 years ago, I was in a similar situation to Ariana. I had a corporate job that I hated. I ended up quitting it cold turkey, and I spent probably about 5 years struggling, trying to make money online. And then about 4 years ago now, I came up with this idea of creating a passion product and selling it online. And this was my first passion product. And in my first year selling this product on Amazon, I did over $360,000 in revenue, over $120,000 in profit. And Ariana and I were dating, and she saw how much money I was making with my Amazon business and how much more free time I had. So she came to me and she said, hey, I want to be able to sell my own passion product on Amazon. But when I explained the process to her, she wasn't on board right away.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. The business model, I wasn't sure if it was right for me, but giving it more thought and trying it out, I was able to do it.
So she came to me and I explained the process to her. And there's basically 5 steps if you want to create your own passion product and sell it on Amazon. The first step is product research, which is figuring out what kind of a product do you want to sell. And there's some step-by-step methods to discover a product that will sell really well on Amazon and make you a lot of money. There's one tool that I highly recommend. It's called Helium 10, and it is a bit expensive at $99 a month, but I do have a discount code that gets you 50% off. I actually did a video going in depth on how to do product research. But you don't necessarily need to pay for tools like that. There's also a lot of other free ways to do product research. And kind of the way that we did it is we kind of did product research in our own way. How did you come up with this idea? How did we come up with this idea?
It was just brainstorming things that we liked or were doing in our day-to-day lives. And that idea at the time was wine tasting. We were going on little trips and you had an idea for flashcards. I was like, oh.
And ultimately, you want to create a product that you would buy yourself. And then using a tool like Helium 10, you're able to see, are people on Amazon actually searching for this kind of product? And I did see that there were people going to Amazon searching for wine flashcards. But here's the key.
There was no product like it out there.
So we were the first ones to kind of invent this product. The second step is to create a prototype or a mock-up of the product that you want to sell on Amazon. How did you go about doing that?
So first, I just drew it out front and back and included all the information that I would want on my product.
But I was actually the one doing the Photoshop work for this and it didn't look very good. So we decided to hire a designer. How much did it cost to hire a designer?
Yeah, so a designer was key. He really brought that to life. And that cost about $2,000. He did, however, make a lot of mock-ups for that. So the $2,000 included quite a bit.
And keep in mind, Ariana's product is very design heavy. There's over 50 different flashcards. There's a box. Most products on Amazon, if you're just designing a logo and a box, will cost you around $100 to $200.
Yeah.
Another thing to keep in mind is for a lot of products, if you're trying to get a prototype, you can actually go to a company from Alibaba.com or find a manufacturer overseas and just get a prototype from them. And a lot of times they won't charge you anything for that, but they might charge you, let's say $50 in shipping fees to get it from their warehouse over to you.
And we did end up doing that. I did want to see the physical box, so we paid that shipping cost.
And we just bought basically a blank box with blank cards just to be able to hold it in our hands.
See the size of it, the weight, kind of get an idea of what it would actually look like with the designs on it.
And during this time with talking to the manufacturer, we realized that if we wanted to do a full-scale production run, if we wanted to do 1,000 units of this product, it was going to cost $7,000, about $7 a piece. Or if we wanted to do an even larger production run, 2,000 units, it would cost around $10,000.
And I didn't have $10,000.
So here's another secret. If you're trying to start your own Amazon business and you don't have enough money for all the different startup costs, you can always do a Kickstarter. And this is part of the passion product formula. This is what I teach people to do, is if you have a unique idea that people are going to be excited about, you can go to social media, things like that, pre-sell your product using Kickstarter, which basically means people will buy your product before you even have inventory.
Yep,
And
it's a form of crowdfunding, essentially. And you're also getting good feedback on whether people are actually interested in the product.
And you did a Kickstarter.
Yep.
How much money did you raise with your Kickstarter?
With my Kickstarter, I had a goal of $5,000. I made about $5,200.
Which is really amazing, and it helps to pay for a lot of the initial production and startup costs. Before we get into step 3, which is manufacturing the product that you're going to sell on Amazon, we should mention that there was some other costs associated with starting your Amazon business. What other kind of costs did you have?
There's the DBA to get my business established. That was $150.
And a DBA stands for doing business as. This basically allows you to open up a business bank account and be able to open up business credit cards. So that's $150 from LegalZoom. What other kind of expenses?
There's also the trademark. So to get my product completely trademarked was about $225.
And this is completely optional. Yeah. What she did is she actually trademarked her logo. And by trademarking your logo and selling a product on Amazon, it actually opens up brand registry, which gives you a bunch of additional features. And I think there was one other expense that you had before we get into the production run. What was the last expense?
The last thing, which was unique to my product, was hiring a sommelier. So because my product is involved with wine, I wanted to make sure that every information I'm including is fact-checked and accurate as can be. So a sommelier was about $150.
And we should make this clear that Ariana is not a sommelier. She's not a wine expert. She was just someone that was interested in this product. And so even if you're not an expert at whatever you're trying to sell, you can always hire an expert for relatively inexpensive to double check your product.
I used Upwork, so I just put out an ad out there and said I wanted to hire a sommelier for overlooking my cards, and I paid them by the hour.
The third step is to actually get your product manufactured. And this kind of leads into the second big mistake that Ariana and I made on this product. So let's start. How did you find a manufacturer for your product?
Yeah, that was by friend referral.
So that is me. I actually found the manufacturer. And one of the ways that you can do it is actually using sites like Alibaba.com. And I have a complete tutorial on how you can use Alibaba.com and other sites to find a manufacturer. And Alibaba.com is basically a website that lists out all these different manufacturers over in China, over in all these different countries. And what was the process like working with this manufacturer? Like, was it hard? Was it easy?
It was very easy, all through email communication, which is a good way to keep track of everything that's going on in the process, but very simple.
And we weren't really sure how many units we should order. We were deciding between 1,000 units or 2,000 units. And as we mentioned earlier, we did get a price break by doing 2,000 units. So we ended up doing that, but there was one big mistake that we didn't think about with ordering that many units, which was...
Well, so because I had the Kickstarter earlier in the year, I needed to fulfill those orders by the set time that I had given. So I had to completely create the product, and I had a few months to have the items shipped over. So a lot of it was going to be sea shipping, but I needed some sooner, so there was a lot of air shipping, which actually caused some issues with the boxes. There were some damages. It was a bit of a mess.
And we'll talk about that in just a second, how to actually ship your product from your manufacturer over to the United States or over to a warehouse. But actually, the big mistake I thought was because we ordered 2,000 units instead of 1,000, there were some spelling mistakes on all the different cards. Yeah. So we ordered a little bit too much, and it took us a lot longer to sell those 2,000 units than we thought it would. Sales were a little bit slower. So we were stuck with 2,000 units of products that had spelling mistakes, and I know that kind of hurt you.
Yeah, it really did. I spent so much time going over the cards, even hired someone through Upwork to proofread as well, and friends and family to do the same, and even then there were some mistakes. So at that point, by the time that I was done editing, I just wanted to get the product out there because I could realistically spend months going over the cards over and over again and never get the product out there. So I set a cap. I said, you know what, let's just do the production. And then sure enough, there were some mistakes. But the good thing is that, you can fix it later on.
And this is an important principle of entrepreneurship. Yeah. Version 1.0 of your product is never going to be perfect. I see so many people waiting years and years to release their product, thinking that one day it's going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. You want to just release the product out there. And she thought it was going to be perfect, to be fair.
Yeah.
I told her, I'm like, there's guaranteed that there's probably a spelling mistake somewhere. And she's like, there's no way. I've triple checked it. I've hired people. And of course, there still was. And that's okay. Done is better than perfect. A lot of people try to be perfect and they never end up releasing their product, never end up starting their business.
Yeah, and it made it much better for version 2.0, so it was a happy mistake in the end.
And so that leads into step number 4. After you do get your product manufactured, and hopefully you don't order way too much inventory, but another issue some people run into is they order too little inventory. I'll talk about that later in the video, but the next step after your product is manufactured is actually getting it shipped over from your manufacturer to the Amazon warehouse, and talk a little bit about what that process was like.
So there are two options. There is sea shipping and air shipping. Air shipping is a lot quicker, but it's much more expensive, and sea shipping takes much longer to arrive, but you do save a lot of money that way.
And Ariana ended up shipping some of her product by air because it was around December and we wanted to make sure to get the product into Amazon and starting to be sold before the Christmas rush, because her product is the kind of product that a lot of people buy for Christmas. So if you're looking for a Christmas gift, right here. But we still shipped a big percentage of it using sea shipping so that she could save a lot of money. Now what she did is she actually had all the product shipped to her first so that she could inspect it. And since she did do a Kickstarter, she did fulfill those orders herself. And for the air shipping, I know you just use DHL. You basically just gave the information to the manufacturer, and one day the boxes showed up at your door. What about the sea shipping? That's something that might be really complicated for people. What was that process like?
Sea shipping is actually not too complicated. You can hire a freight forwarder and they take care of the rest. They handle all the logistics, making it a lot easier on me.
And you can have the freight forwarder or DHL ship the products from the manufacturer directly into the Amazon warehouse, or what Ariana decided to do was have those products be shipped to her house first, our house first. And then from there, you have to actually send the products in to the Amazon warehouse. What was that process like?
Yeah, so the reason I did that was because I needed to add a label to each an individual box. That was actually a side mistake that I didn't have, was that I didn't have the manufacturer add those labels for me. It would have cost me like an extra $50, I think, and it would have saved so much time. But because I didn't think about that, I had to do each individual box at home. So I needed to add those labels, and then I basically go to the Amazon seller account, get that shipping label ready, and just send it with UPS.
And that's an important thing to note, that if you're going to be selling a product on Amazon, it needs to have a UPC code, which stands for Universal Product Code. And pretty much every single product in the world has a UPC barcode. This is the code that Walmart scans when you buy something, or any kind of convenience store. They all have this code. It costs only $30. But when you're sending a product into the Amazon warehouse, it needs to either have that UPC code on it, or you can print out what's called an FN SKU, which is a special barcode that Amazon gives to you. And when we did the manufacturing of this product, they didn't have that barcode. So Ariana had to sit there and label each one individually.
Yes, but I don't do that anymore. I've learned that lesson.
And when you want to send your products into the Amazon warehouse, you basically just put them in a box, give Amazon the dimensions, they'll give you the label that she was talking about, and you can just take it to your local FedEx or UPS, give it to them, and they'll handle all the rest. So in total, the startup cost for this product was $15,000. But because Ariana raised $5,000 with Kickstarter, it only cost $10,000 to start this company.
Yeah, and we could have probably spent less money if we hired a less expensive designer, maybe done a smaller first production run. We probably could have done this for about $5,000.
And even if you don't have a lot of money, you can still start an Amazon FBA business. Other people I've worked with, like Mina and Steven, were able to start their Amazon business with only $1,500. And AJ started his Amazon business with $0 because he raised over $100,000 with Indiegogo, which was more than enough money to cover all his expenses.
And that brings us to step number 5, which is launching on Amazon.
And this is the exciting part. This is when you actually start making money from selling your product. Yes. Now, the first part of being able to launch your product on Amazon is you need to sign up for an Amazon seller account. What was that like?
Yeah, that process is actually pretty simple. If you have all your information about your product, you can simply sign up with an account and add your product to it.
Yeah, and they'll just ask some very simple information like what is your business information. You don't even need to have a business. You can actually sell using your social security number. And they'll ask you, basically if you've ever signed up for an email, it's almost a similar process. There's 1 or 2 extra little steps. I did a complete breakdown video talking about how to sign up for your seller account. I'll link up here. But once you have your seller account, you have to add the product on Amazon. What was that process like?
That process will take some time. So you have to include all of the images. You probably want to get a 3D render or something to make your product image look really nice to customers. You want to fill out all of the information about the product, really just help that customer with their purchase behavior, essentially.
And remember that, again, Amazon is a search engine. So when you're making the title for your product, you want to try to include keywords. And keywords are things that people might type into Amazon when searching for a product. So for Ariana's product, she would put wine flashcards. She would put wine tasting game.
Basically anything relevant to your product that you feel like you can rank in a search for.
Another really important thing is the main image for your product is extremely important. You want to make sure that it looks really good, because when people are looking in the search results for products that they might want to buy, they're basing a lot of their decisions on how does that main image look, as well as the price, the title, and how many reviews it has, which we'll talk about in just a second. Some other things that you might want to consider is not only just how does your main image look, but what about all the other images? Your whole goal when selling a product on Amazon is to make people want to buy your product. So you want to have your product listing look as professional as possible. So then the next big step is once you have your listing up on Amazon, you've already sent all the inventory into the Amazon warehouse, it's time to actually launch it. So what did you do to actually launch your product on day one?
Yeah, the best way to do that is let people know. Let friends and family share the news. If you have an email list, reach out to your email list and let them know of any promotions that you're having or just the fact that it's live. It's finally there.
Yeah, this is a big part of what I call the passion product formula is during this entire time that you're creating your product, you want to be sharing the entire process on social media. You want to be building an email list, you want to be building a social media following. And what happens is, leading up to the launch of your product on Amazon, you start letting people know. You start getting people excited. And what's going to happen is from day one, you're going to get a ton of sales to your product, which is what happened to you. And even more importantly, since those people have been following your journey, they're highly likely to leave 5-star reviews. And as you get more sales and more reviews, you're going to be going up higher and higher in the search rankings because Amazon's going to see this product and be like, wow, it's getting a ton of sales, a ton of reviews. This is a really cool product.
Yeah, Amazon loves that. And then I got even a little banner that said Amazon's Choice, which, I'm sure appeals to customers as well.
And yeah, it's a snowball effect because as you get higher up in the search results, you're going to get more sales and more reviews. And ultimately, the goal is to be able to do what Ariana has been able to do is turn that into a passive income business.
And that leads me into the biggest mistake I made with my Amazon FBA business that probably cost me about $50,000. And that is just not growing the business big enough. That ranges from, doing my social media, reaching out to more people, spending many more hours on the business that I could have.
And this is probably my fault because I had unrealistic expectations for Ariana and Vino Cards because I had a business that was doing over $100,000 in profit passive income per year. And I wanted to teach my girlfriend how to do this. And I expected that she could be doing at least $100,000 profit per year. She was kind of my guinea pig for this whole passion product formula. So I saw that she could have done more. So I kept pushing her to try to grow the business.
And for me, it was more about wanting to just create passive income. And this business allowed me to quit my job and travel. And that's what I wanted from it. I wanted to have that side income. And of course, if I spent maybe 40 hours a week versus the few, I could be making an extra $50,000 to $100,000 a year.
And I created a free step-by-step YouTube video showing you how you can create your own passive income Amazon business. So click right here because this is an amazing opportunity where you can create a business that you actually love that's going to be making you money even if you're traveling. So click on that video. I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.